Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing just superb out there. So welcome to MCOM 201 News Reporting. So today we'll talk about crisis reporting because now we are entering in our module which is called specialized reporting. So we'll be talking about different genres in reporting. So today we are going to talk about crisis reporting. So crisis reporting is very important genre when it comes to bomb blast, natural disasters. In that case, crisis reporting becomes very important. So let's talk about crisis reporting. The important thing is when a disaster hits, when a crisis comes, first of all, you need to develop a crisis plan. So put a group to work as an editor. The group should include people from across the news organization, not just from the newsroom, but also from production, engineering, and facilities. So the goal is to develop a comprehensive plan for the entire news organization. So because you are covering an extensive coverage for that disaster, let's say there is an earthquake in many parts of the country. So you need to cover that earthquake, that it's a natural calamity, natural disaster. So what you need to do, you need to put a group to work because obviously you need drivers, you need cameramen, you need reporters, you need engineers, satellite engineers, broadcast engineers. So you make a group and you put that group to work. So organization contact information is very important. Make sure the staff list is complete and current, both on computer and hard copy. So the list should note exactly where people live. Um, a map can be very helpful. Also include other critical information that a four-wheel drive vehicle is trained in first aid, is an amateur radio operator, etc., trained in such kind of environment. Collect contact information for emergency response officials, major public institutions, in Pakistan's case, National Disaster Management Authority is your contact point. Um, then build relationships, which is very important. Connect with the sources who can provide essential information during a disaster, sources who are living in those areas, emergency preparedness and law enforcement officials, military leaders, hospital workers, doctors, subject experts, and relief organizations showing interest now well in advance of any incident will build a relationship that can pay off when disaster strikes. That means when a disaster strikes at that time, you're not going to make relationships. You're not going to find sources. You're not going to find context. Obviously, you make these relationships well in advance. All right. Map the community. That is very much important. Get up-to-date local maps to keep in the newsroom. Now, obviously, you do not need up-to-date maps because obviously we have Google Maps facility, and we have private companies that can provide us with the local mapping. So in a crisis, having a few extra pocket maps can save a lot of time and effort. Let's say if you are working in an area where mobile signals are not working, obviously you need manual mapping. So if you have drained out your batteries, definitely you need map in hard copies. So mapping the community will help you to understand that where you are covering and how you are going to cover. So you know the exact locations of potential terrorist targets or potential areas that are badly affected by the earthquake or flooding, include government and military building in places where large groups gather. Map all hospitals and emergency clinics and put your reporters over there, your cameramen over there. Obtain maps, obtain their plans that how where these buildings are located, transportation hubs, etc., etc. So you exactly know about the community. Let's say I'll share my experience when there was an earthquake in Pakistan in 2005. We covered that earthquake in Azad Kashmir, and we didn't know about the villages that are in far-flung areas. So obviously, for that purpose, you need to have map that where the communities are based. Um, Survey-like scenarios look back at disasters that have happened in the past to see what sort of damage was caused and how authorities and newsroom responded. Let's say, God forbid, if there is an earthquake now, obviously television stations covered that previous earthquake that came in uh, 2005. So obviously they can learn from that experience as well. So you need to collect background information and links to online databases and make it easily accessible to everyone in newsroom. A live blog could be a great tool. You should ask an expert to help to assess the likelihood of future disasters. Educate your staff why a particular area is subject of to flooding, mining operation, manufacturing or chemical plant operations, prisons. So you need to educate your staff. So considering sending reporters and editors to the seminars to help them understand potential threats and scenarios. In the world, there are a lot of seminars, there are a lot of training programs that actually cover crisis reporting or the disaster report. It's one and the same thing. So your editors and your reporters need to be educated in advance. Review routines. Obviously, in routine, you do not have a lot of backups. So, in disaster-like situation, how much cash is kept on hand? If power fails, bank cash machines will not work, and credit card will not be accepted. When and where are news vehicle refueled? So, there's a lot of planning involved in a disaster. So that planning is not on the part of only reporters, but on the part of management as well and on the part of editors as well. So you need to develop alternatives to allow publishing or broadcasting to continue in a case of disasters that if it has affected your newsroom. When there was a Hurricane Katrina in United States, so local television got affected badly. So you need to have a backup plan as well. If your area is struck by a disaster, then how you are going to broadcast. Pre-produce. Save time by pre-producing graphics or design elements for coverage of most likely local disasters like weather emergencies or plane crashes. Create camera-ready maps for locations like airport, runways, train and bus stations, and major office buildings. For television, build a graphic for each reporter, including name and photo, to use during phone and live reports. Anticipate the kind of information that people will need after the disaster and create mock-up web pages in advance. So a lot of things you can do in advance. Uh, Unfortunately, in Pakistan, television and news channels do not pay heed to such kind of preparedness, I would say. Mostly when something happens, they rush to covering that event. So we can produce things in advance. We can actually anticipate that something can happen in future, like flooding or earthquake or a bomb blast. So you can produce templates, graphics, text-based things in advance. So pre-producing is very good. So for newspaper, how to increase the size of the newspaper, revamp the press during the printing cycle, move advertising or replete it. For television and radio stations, when to take air, what to do with commercials, because in disaster, obviously, you on air your transmission back to back. For online, whether to switch to low bandwidth format to handle increased web traffic, what to do with the advertising, how to add photos and videos quickly. I told you live blog could be a great tool. Practice the plan. Good television organizations or news organization, they always practice the plan. Once the plan is in place, distribute it to everyone in the organization, not just managers, not just newsroom personnel, but everyone. Put in on the computer system, but also create a paper version and keep multiple copies on hand. So make sure new staffers are briefed on the plan. Hold a disaster practice drill at least every 6 months, revise the plan as needed, and be sure to review it after the plan has been used in a real news coverage situation. So this is a scenario kind of practice. So because when a disaster struck, you usually do not have time. So disasters could be of accidents, landslides, volcanoes, floods and droughts, violence, climate change effects, tsunamis, tropical storms or hurricanes, seismic events, which actually happen in Pakistan, disease outbreak, which currently is in Pakistan, in fact, in the whole wide world. So these are emergency situations because when an emergency strikes, you actually do not have time to plan enough. So you need to plan in advance. So disaster or humanitarian reporting or emergency reporting or the crisis reporting is all about planning. You have to plan it in advance, because you do not know what is going to strike your country in the future. Another thing is newsroom backup planning, which is again very important. Equip your journalists who do not have their own gear with inexpensive flip-flop type cameras, and make sure they know how to use them. Keep a copy of archives and critical files, advertising and financial offsite. Save graphics, maps, and other essential data to disk. If possible, have a backup power system or generator with enough capacity to keep key newsroom system running in case of a blackout. Um, have redundant communication systems. Landline telephone may not work, mobile phone circuits may be overloaded, text message may get through, even calls do not. So you need to have a backup plan as well, that how you are going to communicate to your uh, reporters. Let me give you an example. Because during 2005 earthquake, mobile signals were not working in Azad Kashmir. So what was happening? Our newsroom was contacting us through satellite phones, because we were having a satellite phone with us. So because mobile phones were not working at that time. Load newsroom software in two different offsite computers at two different locations. Designate staffers' homes or other facilities at makeshift newsroom in case of power outage as widespread. That means you need to have a backup plan for your power shortage as well. Um, so prepare to use social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and mobile messaging to share news and information during a disaster. Even the main news outlet is unable to publish or broadcast. Discuss in advance the possibility of combining sources with competing news organization to cover news conferences or planned events in aftermath of disaster. What could be the personal preparation? You need to have a backup, survival, and essentials. As a reporter, you need to have a bag of essentials, which should have a camcorder, a phone, a laptop. Um, Backup includes pencils, batteries, chargers, etc., etc., and a survival kit as well. So every journalist should have these things with him, because you never know where you are covering, when you are covering, and when something is going to happen. So flashlight, knives, all purpose. These are some good small tools you should have in your bag. Family concerns. Anticipating the impact of disaster on family members can help journalists prepare to do their jobs under difficult circumstances. Journalists will want to let family members know that they are safe, and to find out everyone at home is safe as well. So there will be a connection between their office and their home. So uh, news organization should also actually build a plan for that. So it's a good idea to have a family emergency plan that includes an out of town contact person who can communicate information to the separate family members. So natural disasters basically know no boundaries. So newsroom startup, what you need to do: go, confirm, notify, put specific people in charge, get information out. uh, how to manage crisis. So the first role of newsroom leader is a disaster situation is to manage people and information in the field and in the newsroom. Because when a disaster strikes, you need to manage your people in the field as well, and you need to manage information that is coming from the field. So assign and inform, assign field personal specific duties such as covering the incident, scenes, hospitals, and officials. Make sure all reporters or teams knows what they are responsible for and what is being covered by others. So you need to have a clear plan. So information gathering, who will work the phone, who will listen to the police and fire emergencies or radio traffic, who will monitor television, radio, and internet coverage, and take notes on official press conferences and briefing. Make sure that everyone knows where these notes should be saved, so that they could easily be collaborated or filed. So it's a collaboration during the disaster. So name an editorial supervisor who will clear information for immediate publication online or for the broadcast. Assign someone to update the web or the breaking page or breaking news page box or the television news stickers. So these are very important. That means you are assigning duties. Logistics is very important. Obviously, every news channel or newspaper, they are having their logistic departments. But obviously, you need extra logistics during a disaster. So put a person in charge of the field liaison, determining whether staff, where staff should be assigned and what equipment or other support they need, probably medical supplies or food supplies. Logistics person also include handle travels and housing arrangements as well for the reporters and the cameramen or the producers in the field. The single important thing is staying calm because it's an emergency kind of situation. So the news leader set the tone. Think about who should be assigned to what duties and put people in charge who can also stay calm, because everybody cannot stay calm in such kind of situations. So tone in the newsroom can seep into the reporting as well, because if the newsroom is not calm, reporting team will not be calm. So a fantastic newsroom can produce coverage that is shrill and hyped up. Keep close watch on crews in the field for TV, radio, or web videos. Give reporters time to collect themselves before putting them online. So at least you should give them some time to prepare that report. Make good editorial choices. When a big story is breaking accuracy, maybe the first casualty. Do not let that happen. Put systems in place to guard against mistakes. For example, you need to be skeptical of people who call the newsroom claiming to be eyewitnesses. Keep an eye on the staff as soon as possible. Create a work schedule and stick to it. Go 12 on 12 off, that works. Force people to go home to rest. In some types of disaster like hurricanes and mudslides or earthquakes, the staff may be personally affected, and in health emergencies as well. So rest is very much important. So you have to make a plan in a way that your staff get appropriate time, sufficient time to get rest. So if the story is being enough, it won't be a local story for long. Put someone in charge of dealing with out-of-town journalists who will likely descend on the newsroom. So the person running coverage cannot take on this role without compromising the product. Ask for help, notify group owners or affiliate news services or other television stations. You can get help from them as well if you are unable to manage at your own. Stop and think. Even for just 3 minutes, pull the managers together every hour or two and take stock of the situation. Reschedule it, schedule your things, and look into your mistakes. Offer encouragement and support to your staff. It is very much important because your staff is working in the field and they need encouragement. So encourage them, support them, look for their problems. So that was crisis reporting. Mostly when a disaster strikes, what we do, uh, we rush to the news coverage. But this is not a good idea. Before a disaster strikes, you exactly don't know what is going to happen. But you need to be prepared for the worst kind of scenario. So for that purpose, you need to train your staff. Let's say how to train them. You can create scenarios that we are in a disaster situation, but how we are going to cover it. You need to prepare backpacks as well, like emergency tools for them as well. So these are the things you need to prepare in advance. So mostly in crisis reporting, it is done like normal reporting, but you need a lot of other things as well. So that's it for today. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. Have fun.